So my question to you is, what do you think is the main strategy of this deck?
Yeah, at this deck, the main strategy is to deliver damage to the enemy castle deck. For example, first turn for 2 gold is the Royal Guard.
So it says Rage, which means that this ally can attack the turn it comes into play. At the beginning of your final phase, if Royal Guard did not attack this turn, destroy it. It has a condition because the ratio of gold to strength is good. So it has to be attacking every single time. You can use it as a defender, essentially. It's nice because this one is just doing constant damage. For the opponent to respond to something like that, they have to wait 1 or 2 turns. I think the overall dynamic of this is making your knights powerful. We see another example with Sir Bors.
Yeah, Sir Boris would be a strong example of making your field even stronger.
So your knight allies are +2 strength. Sir Boris also gains 2 strength because it's not restricting it to other knights. So it's a 5, 4, and then +2 to every knight. That's going to be doing a lot of damage. We're going to pick, Sir Thomas.
Yeah, because that fits to the kind of strategy what this deck is going for, because it likes to attack, and Sir Thomas
+2 strength when attacking.
Gains 2 strength, exactly.
Another one is Sir Lancelot.
Yeah, that's a really special one. Costs 4 gold, has just 1 strength, but he has 3 different effects.
So cannot be affected by talismans. In later editions, that's called immunity. So it has immunity to talismans. It cannot be objective of any talisman. So you cannot play a fireball. You cannot play an invisibility cloak.
Yeah, he's untargetable.
There are some times where some talismans might affect it, but it's a concept where if the card is a target, it's an objective, then it cannot be affected. But if it's a general one, like say there was a talisman that said destroy all allies in the field, then it would be destroyed because it's not being a target. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Sir Lancelot can bear an unlimited number of weapons. By rule, every ally can just bear 1 weapon, but Sir Lancelot overrides that and can wear any number of them. And then the third effect is that it gains +2 strength for every weapon it bears. So imagine, like, if you put a weapon on it and the weapon itself gives strength to the ally, and then Sir Lancelot's ability, kicks in and gains +2 strength. So it's gonna start to be very, very powerful. I've witnessed it one time. They played against me with a bunch of weapons, and it was like over 10 strength or something like that. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, it can be like that really fast because there are some weapons to use. Make this as an example.
So with this one, the bearer gains +2 strength and is unblockable. With that weapon, Sir Lancelot would be gaining effectively +4, right? It would have strength 5 and unblockable. So even worse, because there are not really a lot of cards that help you block unblockable allies. If I remember right, there's one.
Yeah, there's one talisman
a talisman, right?
Which makes one of your allies able to block unblockable allies.
But I don't see a lot in decks. So there is, but it's rare. Usually if it's unblockable, it's just gonna do damage.
Yeah, that's why it's also a good weapon for the Royal Guard, so he can attack every turn and is not going to be destroyed.
You have a cheaper weapon there with Light Horse, so it costs 2 gold, 1 less, and makes the bearer unblockable. You could accomplish it through either of those weapons.
True. Let's go maybe for the most interesting weapon here.
Okay.
Because it gains you a lot of cards.
Helps you accelerate and then gives strength to the field. So it's like a good weapon for +2. And then at the beginning of your final phase, you may draw a card.
Yeah, let's go for this interesting one.
Barrier cannot be affected by the opponent's allies' abilities. For example, if the opponent has a Morgana, you can put that weapon on one of your allies and it cannot be exiled anymore.
Yeah, most likely Sir Lancelot will be your target.
Yeah. So yeah, any ally ability like Oberon, or there's also a dragon that comes into play called Magma Dragon. When you play it, then you can destroy an opponent's ally. So with that armor, it wouldn't destroy it. Still can be destroyed with Fireball, for example.
No, cannot, because it is not affected by
Okay, I
talismans.
see.
That's why you can
For
make
the
it like,
specific, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so for Sir Lancelot, then that would be very like protecting
yeah,
because no allies, no talismans. The only way it could die is if it attacks and has less strength than an opponent's
exactly.
ally.
That's
Mhm.
the only way, because even, for example, Silver Voice would not work.
Yeah, Silver Voice wouldn't work on Sir Lancelot with that weapon. Yeah.
And that one is the finisher.
Oh, large sword. Oh, I thought this was a long sword. This is a different one. Bear doubles its strength. Bear cannot attack unless its controller pays 2 gold. Okay, so it's similar to the large sword, but the large sword only has a negative effect, right? Like you put it on your opponent, so they have to pay in order to attack. But this one, you actually want to put it on your ally because then they double their strength. So imagine if Sir Lancelot had like 5 with the Morning Star, and then you put a full armor, and that would be 7, and then you put the large sword, then that's going to be 14.
Since he gets +2 strength for each weapon, he gets 9 and doubled
Oh, that would be
it.
9. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
he's 18 then.
18.
So how are you gonna search for Lord Sir Lancelot?
When Queen Guinevere comes into play, you may search for a knight ally card in your castle deck and put it in your hand. So yeah, this is recruiting. And then during your watch phase, only once per turn, you may generate 1 gold to play a knight ally or 2 to play a weapon. So this is very nice. It's recruiting and acceleration. You're making things cheaper, and especially for weapons.
Yeah,
So exactly, you bring Sir Lancelot,
you can
and
play full
then
armor or light horse for free, for
for
example.
free. Yeah.
There would
So
be the short sword,
what's that one?
just
So
+1. And the bearer could bear another weapon, which
Okay.
for Sir Lancelot would not be useful, but for
Because
Royal
already has
Guard, for
the
example.
another acceleration card I see is your Owen. It has you have to pay a price for that. But when it comes into play, you draw 3 cards. You may, so you don't need to, but you may draw 3 cards and then discard 2.
Giving
It's a
you the
trade-off
right
there.
cards you need.
Yeah, exactly. Like it can give them to you. So, and the thing is, like, you don't have to use the effect, so you could just play it just to have a ally strength 2. Some more acceleration with cantrip, so you can draw a card. I know you probably don't like them as much, but I've used them sometimes in the opponent's talisman ward to draw a card before I get any damage, and sometimes I draw good stuff that would have gone to the graveyard.
Yeah,
Or
true.
the
You're
ruined
kind
pile.
of
So,
saved it there. Yeah, let's maybe take Silver Voice then.
so that one it's a good one because when it comes into play, you may, so you don't have to return an opponent's ally to their hand. I remember someone playing this card a lot against my dragon deck, and because dragons are heavy, they cost a lot to come into play, and then they have to wait a turn to attack. They would just reset the clock. I was losing turns. This way, the opponent is paying for something, and then you make them pay again.
So a useful card to deal with Etin.
Yeah, Spearman. So it seems like a long explanation, but the easiest way to think about it is if this card is in your ruin pile, you can play it. In later editions, this whole text would have been just one word, and it's called exhumar, which means to exhumate. So exhumate, and it means that you can play from your graveyard or ruin pile. So that's nice. That's a nice addition to this deck because usually anything that goes to the graveyard, it's there. Unless you can shuffle it back to your deck, it's there. You can't play with that. So this is nice because if you receive damage, then you can play it from there. It's like if you're not wasting a card, if that makes sense. I think that's the only recycling
Yeah, true.
strategy I see in this deck. Unlike the fairy one that has more ways to bring stuff back to your castle deck.
True. There's
Like
just another way to save your field.
yeah, Isoldas. So if one of your knights is about to be destroyed, you may exile Isolda to prevent it. You only have there mostly in your field to protect other knights. So it's a good one. It can be convenient because if they play Fireball, for example, or Oberon, then you can prevent it this way. However, if your ally gets exiled, then Isolda's effect doesn't work.
So this is the last card, I think.
So
Maybe
Cyril
there's
can be regrouped in the final phase. Oh, that's a nice one.
You can attack and defend at the same time.
Exactly. Main strategy, as you mentioned, is going strong with the strength. So your boars, the Royal Guard, your Lancelot with all the weapons, and then you have Queen Guinevere to search for them and make things cheaper too. I think it's pretty well balanced, this deck, compared to the Dragon one, but I still think the Fairy one might be stronger because it has more strategies and you can recycle more cards.
Let's say it like this. It depends on how fast the game is at this moment, because if the knights are able to rush the enemy and play very fast to hinder the enemy to evolve, it's faster, it can win. But if the game takes too long, then the fairy will win without any problems. So there's a tiny window for the knights to win against the fairies, and that's at the very early game.
Yeah, and one of the main things I see here missing is exactly recycling. If it goes to the ruin pile, it's gone. You can't recover it here.
Yeah, just spearmen, that's the only thing.
Yeah, but for example, if they ruin Sir Lancelot, how can you get it back? You can't.
Yeah, there would be some additions in the boosters, of course.
Yeah.
I can show something.
Yeah, thinking about some changes for this deck, one of them would be if you can get several Queen Guineveres, that would be great. You can have both in play or three of them in play because they're not wanderers. They would make things very cheap, and then you'll be searching exactly for the cards you need.
Yeah, but the effect to generate gold is only once per turn.
Once per turn, yeah, but for each one.
You sure?
Yeah, because they're independent cards,
So you saying that, for example, if you have two pixies on the field, you can make both effects in the same turn?
Yes, because it's
okay.
from each one, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show you one card which can give you something back from the ruin pile.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's your Tristan. Yeah, so when it comes into play, you may put a card from your ruin pile into your hand. So yeah, this is a very good one. Very nice because you pick the card from your ruin pile. So anything you need at the moment, talisman or an ally, probably having 2 or 3 of those would be good too.
Looking for something because you mentioned King Arthur.
So there he is, King Arthur Pendragon. Wanderer, your knights are +1 strength. Given strength like your boars, a little less, but at the beginning of each regroup phase, an opponent must ruin 2 cards. If King Arthur Pendragon is about to be destroyed, you may
discard 2 cards to prevent it.
This is very powerful. It's going to be destroyed. You can save it without having to rely on Isolda. Gives strength to your knights. So he himself gains strength because he's not limited to your other knights. And each regroup phase, so every single turn, in every turn of yours and your opponent it's ruining 2 cards constantly. With enough time, it builds up, and then it's going to be very dangerous.
Spear of Gods, because it is a very strong weapon.
Yes. I think for 3 gold, and then the bearer gains +4 strength.
And you can destroy this weapon to regroup the bearer.
That's nice, because 4 strength, that's just a lot. Put it on Sir Lancelot, for example. These are the 34 cards that come in the deck. There's the 16 gold cards, but we don't go through those because they're just gold cards without any effects or abilities.
Exactly.